We still have an electorate, 70 million plus, that will be voting for a man who said he was going to assassinate for treason the chairman of the Joint Chiefs because he didn't support him on January the 6th, who has said just in the recent days he was going to execute Liz Cheney with a firing squad, 9 guns pointed and shooting at her face. A man who has said that he was going to shut down CBS because he didn't like how they edited an interview. A man who said he was going to be a dictator from day one. A man who said he was going to terminate the Constitution. A man who said he was going to use the army and he was going to use the National Guard on his political opponents. I literally could go on all day, and yet you talk to Trump voters and they'll go, he didn't say that. Wait, no, I didn't hear him. And then you say, well, here's the quote, and then they'll go, yeah, he didn't mean that.
What is happening, everybody? I hope you got what you wanted yesterday. I know that I certainly did. But unfortunately, it seems like, much to our collective surprise, that the liberal progressive media like CNN, MSNBC, and the Young Turks aren't taking the election of Donald J. Trump to the presidency of the United States very well. All of our favorites at CNN, MSNBC, and the Young Turks have some interesting responses to the events of November 5th, 2024. But don't worry, regardless of how unique their individual reactions may be, their collective talking points haven't changed one bit. So get your popcorn and let's enjoy watching CNN, MSNBC, and the Young Turks react with feelings, not facts. Let's go.
I just came off the Young Turks show where I lit into the Democratic Party. Bunch of losers, corporate Democrats. I hate them. They've cost us election after election. They're corrupt. And they lost, it looks like, to a syphilitic clown, total moron, con man, Donald Trump. So if you lose to a buffoon like Donald Trump twice, what does that make you?
We still have an electorate, 70 million plus, that will be voting for a man who said he was going to assassinate for treason the chairman of the Joint Chiefs because he didn't support him on January the 6th, who has said just in the recent days he was going to execute Liz Cheney with a firing squad, 9 guns pointed and shooting at her face. A man who has said that he was going to shut down CBS because he didn't like how they edited an interview. A man who said he was going to be a dictator from day one. A man who said he was going to terminate the Constitution. A man who said he was going to use the army and he was going to use the National Guard on his political opponents. I literally could go on all day, and yet you talk to Trump voters and they'll go, he didn't say that. Wait, no, I didn't hear him. And then you say, well, here's the quote, and then they'll go, yeah, he didn't mean that. So there's something far more long-lasting than just Donald Trump, the candidate. There is a sort of Russian embrace of disinformation, a radical devaluing of truth over the last 9 to 10 years, and a complete ignorance on civics and what the term Madisonian democracy even means, what checks and balances even means, what judicial review even means, what the rule of law even means. How do we as a nation, even post-Trump, how do we reach those Americans who apparently didn't go to civics class, apparently didn't learn the basics of this Constitution, and have just been overwhelmed with disinformation over the past 9 years?
I think this is a big, huge part of the story that it's hard to even digest fully at this moment. But you have Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, X, who is a disinformation propagandist and now has could potentially have a direct line to the Oval Office.
This on this set numerous times is that you have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And, God bless Shannon Watts, who has tried to have that conversation. But if people aren't receptive to it, and if people vote more party line or more on race than on gender and on protecting their gender, there's really not much more that you can do but tell people what the risks are and leave it to them to do the right thing.
Progressive pocket, you're saying, wow, 65% of the vote, 66 if you round up, that's great.
Oh my God.
73%. And the math, 157,000, to 103. Well, again, we got 30% of the votes still to come in, and maybe the percentages change as well. Maybe all the votes that are out are from the campus, and it juices up the number a little bit. But if you're looking at
these Democratic leaders are simpletons. They're servants of the donor class. So they go in there like, oh, donor, give me money, please. And I made an ad. I'm Kamala Harris. I'm full of joy. Okay, well, what did that get you? And they say, oh, Cenk, you're too angry. Too angry? What? You think?
There's a shift right, and then there's a shift to Trump, and shifting to Trumpism. And, I'm looking at a lot of things, especially after David talked about looking at counties and, how Trump is gaining on what he did in 2020. And to me, I'm mystified in some ways, simply because we're talking about a twice impeached, 4 times indicted, convicted on 34 felony counts, former president. That's one bucket. Then in another bucket, you have all of the things he's been saying on the campaign trail that gets to the decency that the woman was talking about in that last report and how she
Hey, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that this is the point in the video I typically ask you to like and subscribe, and I always speed through it so I can get right back to the video because I don't want to waste your time. But today, I'd like to directly ask you if you'd please subscribe to my channel. I'm asking you to sub so I can minimize my channel's ramp up time and gain some momentum so that YouTube will recommend my videos to more people. In return, I commit to you that I'll put out a minimum of 2 quality videos every day and over time progress to at least 5 videos per day. If you're sitting there saying, I'm not going to subscribe to another begging YouTuber, I completely understand, but please give me the opportunity to earn your sub in my future videos. If you've watched my whole plea here, I really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Wanted to vote for Vice President Harris because she didn't like that Madison Square Garden rally. I am mystified that despite all of that, he's gaining support compared to 2020. And it gets back to something I said earlier at some point, one of the hours ago, that who are we as a country? And we're starting to find out. And from what I'm seeing right now, I'm not sure I like it.
The thing I think is most important to remember is the people who said that he was a Hitler lover weren't Democrats, they were Republicans. People who said that he was a fascist weren't Democrats. They were Republicans who worked for him. And so it's not just these elite Democrats over here, poisoning the well. You had a pretty broad consensus from Chomsky to the Cheneys, that was very, very concerned and remains concerned. And so I think it's not just on us to stop calling names. I think it's up to him to, as Allison said, with deeds show that he's not going to be those things.
Well, having said that, what percentage is reporting in North Carolina? 76% reporting. You're down by 7. You're in a world of trouble. You're like, yes, it matters which counties, but you're still in a world of trouble. And in so much trouble that one of the organizations has already called it. Okay, now let's go to Georgia.
Yeah, by the way, Iowa has been called by CNN at least for Trump.
Iowa called for Trump, so there goes that nonsense. I'm getting revved up here on a significant rant. So, because Kamala Harris is not winning, and the people who thought that Kamala Harris was going to win in a landslide are totally wrong.
You gotta relish these times, folks. Is there anything better than a compilation like that? I could watch these compilations back to back to back to back the entire day if I had the time. How bad is it that the left and the right both can't stand Cenk? Cenk hates the right and he hates the left. The right laughs at him and the left thinks he's too nuts even for them as far as they've gone. I'm still begging you guys, after asking multiple times if someone would just let me know if they listen to him or like them. I'm still looking for my first person. So please leave it in the comments if you do, because I think he's great. And is it just me, or can we all agree that Joe Scarborough isn't even pretending that he's not lying anymore? Trump's going to execute Liz Cheney. I don't know if you saw this, but another reporter on CNN said the same shit. And they had the decency to apologize when they realized that they hadn't seen the clip in full context. Joe ain't going to do that. If you listen closely, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, to Joe Scarborough, all of his complaints were, he said this, he said this, he said this. That's the difference between you and us, Joe. We don't give a fuck about what people say. We care about results and actions. Get out of your feelings and go get your testosterone checked. But as I always say, we give credit where credit is due on here. And Mr. Scarborough did get one thing right. There has been, to quote him, a devaluing of truth over the last 9 or 10 years. Let me know in the chat. Has that come from Donald Trump or potentially somewhere else? And while his dumbass was talking, did you hear his stupid wife Mika in the background going, like she's listening to her pastor on Sunday? Oh, they're just so awful. While all of the geniuses in those different clips may have said it differently, the overarching message that I took away from Joe Scarborough, good old firecrotch Jen Psaki, and crybaby Van Jones was that they all think they are better than we are. They're just as bad as like liberal elite politicians. They think all of us are idiots. We can't think for ourselves, but they know what's best for us. We can't do our own research. We can't make decisions for ourselves. Doesn't that show you how out of touch they are with the average American? More than half the country wanted Donald Trump in office, but they're scolding us like we're all idiots. They truly think they're better. And the reason they think that way is because they're in their little insulated liberal echo chambers. They wouldn't be caught dead talking to me or any other average American. They're scumbags. I'm also sure you heard in that relatively short compilation some very familiar liberal themes. Race, 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 gender, patriarchy, Hitler, fascist. They don't even need to say it anymore. We get it, man. Like, we know that if we voted for Donald Trump, we're all racist, we're all misogynistic, we all serve the patriarchy, we like Hitler, and we're all fascist. Yeah, and you've got to feel bad for that sweet angel, Joy Reid. Surprisingly enough, Joy, I know this shocked you, normal people don't vote based on which candidate is more likely to let them kill babies. And we don't vote based on gender and race. We're voting to protect the genders, the real genders, male and female, not your made-up fairy tale genders. And Joy, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't President Obama win overwhelmingly in both of his elections? So are all of the racist white people in this country the same people that voted for him back then? Maybe on your next show, you can help me figure out how that makes a lick of sense. Oh, and also, this is a serious question. Firecrotch said that Elon Musk is a disinformation propagandist. Can someone please tell me in the comments, like if you're liberal or you have a lot of liberal friends and you know how they think, why do people on the left dislike Elon Musk so much? I mean, can you give me some specific things he said that's considered controversial? Or am I overthinking it and they just don't like him because he supports Donald Trump? Again, that was such a short little compilation, but I have so much to talk about. What about Van Jones? Is he about to cry again on TV? His race baiting bullshit is getting so old. And Again, talk about someone who's out of touch. He's shocked that the Cheneys didn't hold any weight with voters. What an estrogen-laced idiot. Well, that was fun. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Like I said earlier, I'll ask one more time. Would you please do me the kindness of subscribing? I'm doing everything I can to grow quickly so I can put out more and more videos daily in the future. And the more subs I get, the quicker I can make that a reality. And I promise you all, I'm not going to do this forever, sitting here begging for subs. This is a rare thing just while I'm trying to get going. I'll probably ask it a few more times throughout the week, but after that, you guys know me. If you've watched me, I always speed through the like and subscribe. So if you like watching videos like these of leftist morons looking insanely stupid, then click on one of the two videos that just popped up on your screen. Otherwise, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. The end.